Move. Okay, hopefully you can hear this. I forgot my mic, so I wasn't planning on talking about anything. But before I came out here, I was watching this quanta science video on like summer. And it talked about the latest biology findings of the last year. And a couple of them were really interesting, but one of them I really wanted to talk about was sperm. They basically found out that I guess they had different mice exercise, fathers, and when they reproduced with sedentary females, the sons that were born also were more fit because they had genetic changes, meaning that even though the genes were technically the same between the fathers who exercised and didn't in terms of passing it on, the fact that the certain father mice, whatever, exercised actually affected their children's, or most, I guess the son, because the Y chromosome probably passes it over. It affected their genes, which is really interesting. So it's sort of like not a clean separation between nature and nurture anymore. It also reminds me of that genius Japanese boy who was obsessed with butterflies and reproduced that same effect, where butterflies who were shocked and learned to avoid a certain pathway or a scent or something, their offspring also remembered it somehow. So this is really interesting to me because I guess I've been reading a lot about generational trauma and childhood trauma, and it makes me wonder how much like we actually pass on to our children. I used to think it was just, you pass your 50% genes, and you pass your 50% genes, and then nurture sort of takes the rest, and you learn the lessons. But I guess the lessons that you learn and what you do for your own life actually affects the genes that you pass on and how they get expressed. So if you are a heavy smoker, or you don't exercise, or you do exercise, it actually makes it more likely that your offspring will pick up the same traits, which is actually super interesting, right? But I think of it more from this sort of sociological standpoint, which is we are sort of we don't just pass on our culture and our words and our art and our music and our laws and whatever. Apparently we pass on things that we experience and the way we live our lives somehow through our genetics. Isn't that kind of crazy? I guess that bell signals the end of this part. Backwards. Do a little mic test. Mic test with these new little tiny Hollyland A1. Got these new little mics. The other ones were a little bit annoying to attach, so maybe this one will be, I don't know, better. It'll stay in place better. Actually, I want to see if it can go onto like a hat. So there's just like these tiny little magnets, so I wonder if this will work. Orientation. Whoa, that's cool. Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Nice and compact.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it as easy to shoot as possible, so I'm just like not doing anything.
Look at
Yeah.
this.
Oh, I'll just like turn the camera back. Hey, everybody! Yay! They're like, no, don't point it at me, please. This is neat. So, yeah, there's like this little pathway up here somewhere where my friends just moved here. And yeah, I've been here 3 years and I've never seen this before.
This is the back. This should be there.
Well, that zoomed way too much.
And it's free to access, unlike the other one.
I guess I'm feeling tired today. Yeah, I was kind of resisting taking a nap, and now I just took one, and I wanted to talk about, I guess, my posture and stuff. But first, I wanted to show you this. Doesn't that look just like me? Actually, when I hold it up now, I see kind of the resemblance. My girlfriend drew this, and it's like, that's kind of funny. My whole jaw thing is one of the main reasons to do this. But in general, I also just think it's something sort of easier to do. Like, I guess the 4 things I want to improve in my life, one of them is like fixing my body. So people usually think of fitness and stuff like that, but I thought of it like, what's the simplest thing you can do? It's really just, you do need to like readjust your muscles. We all learn to walk as a baby, most of us, almost all of us, and we never sort of question how we walk and hold our bodies up anymore after that. You just kind of accept that the way you walk is the way you walk. But that's, it just happens to be the way you stumbled onto walking. It's like riding a bicycle or driving. You can learn to just kind of do it and teach yourself, and you end up doing it a certain way, but that doesn't mean that's the best way or that there's no other way of improving upon it, if that makes any sense. So let's see how my drawing skills are. All right, here we go. So if I understand things properly from what I learned, the whole reason why we have terrible posture generally is because of sitting at a computer. And we're trying to keep our eyes level. Chest sort of gets compressed. And oh, I guess you can't really see that. Over this way. Wow, this is not going super well. Maybe it's easier if I just show it, because normally you're like hunched over and your chest is collapsed, and you're sort of like using kind of the lower back here, but in order to keep the head level, I have to pull on these muscles here, which sort of like throws everything off balance. Whereas if I sit up straight, it takes that, it kind of stacks everything on top of one another. So now my pelvis is more like tilted forward instead of tilted upwards, and that aligns like with my spine on top of it. And I end up activating sort of like my core muscles here evenly. So instead of just using my back, because some of my weight's going backwards now, I'm actually using my abs and my chest. And then that allows my shoulders to actually drop because my spine's stacking on top of one another. And I activate like these sort of upper back trap muscles here. And because my head is now further back, I'm not using so much of those weird neck muscles, and it kind of rebalances itself. So I'm no expert on this. I'm not, but whatever the heck this stupid posture is doing, seems to be forcing or imbalancing a lot of the muscles around my neck. So when I actually do this, I feel less tense, and a bunch of muscles I notice here in my front of my head kind of relax. Yeah, maybe that's the general theme here, is that when there's an imbalance, one side has to like work harder than the other, and the other side just naturally gets weaker. So then it requires even more effort from the other side, and it kind of creates this vicious cycle. And now that I'm telling like these muscles to activate so that these ones can relax a bit more, it's causing strain, right? It's gonna resist, and it's like, I can't do it. But these ones need to rest too, right? And they're like, we need to rest. Or maybe it feels like it needs to keep working harder. Maybe that's why when I sleep, it just tenses up anyways. But I'm hoping, once it's balanced enough, then both are like sort of sharing the responsibilities in a sense, kind of getting out there now. But ultimately, I want balance to happen sort of in the mental space and in the social space as well, because one way of thinking and feeling and sort of going through your world and relating with other people might be that muscle that's dominating the conversation and the perspective, whereas there are maybe other perspectives or other people in their relationships that also kind of want to contribute, but they can't because you're being too dominant. So it kind of works, the analogy. I'll expand it out later at another time. But yeah, there's this sort of rebalancing and letting go of certain things while pushing for other things so that there's like a little bit more harmony. So I guess the whole drawing thing didn't exactly pan out. I will work on that. So yeah, thanks. Until next time. Okay, I lied. I might as well record this while I'm still in the mood. This is how I guess I walk. Yeah, this is how I slink around. I tend to drag my feet. I've done that for a while too, ruin my shoes. But now if I leave, and I try to kind of Clark Kent Superman it, and I'll zip up a little too. And this is my intentional walk with my head reaching up into the sky. And I notice my breathing slows down. My neck is relaxed, and the way I walk is actually quite different. The balance of everything feels different. I guess here you can see my pelvis better. Instead of like dipping down like this right now, I pull it back up and then stack the rest of my body on top. And I actually notice I grow a couple of inches almost. Suddenly feel taller, I seem taller. Sometimes I think, because I'm so obsessed with watching movies and stuff, that one thing that makes them look so attractive is because they carry themselves. They feel full of energy, because their body is just more capable and it's more balanced. And it may be for like vanity reasons, but I can't deny that most celebrities probably are a lot fitter than the average person. It's like they put a lot of effort into their bodies because appearance matters, but the perception of appearance actually comes from how their body actually works. So, yeah, I want this version to stick. And I wanted to show off a little bit my weird little abstract yarn line art here that very proud of. Okay, now that's it. I will try to turn it off now because I am actually pretty tired. It's really springtime now.